Amigos, friends, we are in the true war. Here together, united. Together with our teacher and with the friends from all over the world, we're going to open up the gates of peace. We're going to make peace between men and the Creator. And we're going to be inspired from all of the studies, all the lessons of the past and also the lesson that we will study today. Let's go, friends. Yes, dear friends. We are terrific work on the way to love and eternity. All of us together will gain this great desire towards the upper one, and we expect this new day along with our beloved Rav that we will work internally together with all the friends in the world clean. The Creator gave us everything so that we can be here today in the thoughts, the discernment, our experience. Everything is set so that today we can reach justifying Him through the friends. From letter 24. You must always stand guard all day and all night. When you feel a state of day or feel a state of night, we say to the Creator, yours is the day and yours is also the night. Thus, the night too, the darkness of night comes from the Creator to man's favor too. As it is written, day to day utters speech and night to night expresses knowledge. It follows that you must awaken the heart of the friends until the flame rises by itself. I that you will be rewarded with awakening the love of the Creator upon us. Latin 5. Workshop. How do we awaken the Creator's love upon us? Again, how do we awaken the Creator's love upon us? Active workshop. Love in the 10. To awaken the Creator's love in the 10, we first have to try to equalize our actions to Him, specifically through the connection of love of friends between us, of mutual effort to make the same movement and look for this contentment to the Creator specifically. Through these small efforts we begin to enter His frequency. First of all, congratulations. It's always good to come back and see everyone. The most important is to persist, to keep persisting, to keep holding everything but leave to be under the influence of all the vessels and the possibilities that we have in our special society. To persist. If I love the friends, it's a sign that the Creator loves me, gives me strength to love the friends and resemble Him. So, we'll continue to make these efforts to ask for this in the lesson. The excerpt also explains to us nicely about how we truly need to know how to accept the day and the night as one. Because the Creator all in all is searching for how to help us in both of these ways, in both of these sides. He leads us to the purpose of creation. So to awaken the love of friends means we actually do what Rabish says, that we should always and can always give each other a high spirit, and we should remind ourselves from whom we are receiving and for what purpose, that everything is actually in order to lead us to the purpose of creation, to the good who does good. I heard that the role of every person that the Creator chose to awaken is through love of friends to continue to bestow from the Creator to people. So we can probably awaken His love through asking to be such people, asking to love and to do for others. Yes, we exert in that to ask for the friends to actually be similar in our hearts to that quality of the Creator. So we will generate that quality of bestow between us. This is what will awaken the Creator even more to operate on us and even more to push us to bring us closer to His quality. How well we feel that maybe the will receive will enjoy it, maybe the rest see will not. Silent workshop. Let's enter a connection in one heart and feel the Creator there. Again, let's enter a connection in one heart and feel the Creator there. Heat. Shalom. Hello, friends. In the first part of the lesson, we will learn from Bala Sulam's article Shamari 18. What is the day of the Lord and the night of the Lord in the work? You can find the article in the writings of Balasam. In Hebrew, it's page 527. You can also find it in the Aratar. We will continue studying this article from a recorded lesson by Rav Laitman from the date October 9, 2021. Please What is the day of the Lord and the night of the Lord in the work 16? Our sages said about the verse, Woe unto you who desire the day of the Lord. Why do you need the day of the Lord? It is darkness and not light. There is an allegory about a rooster and a bat that were awaiting the light. The rooster said to the bat, I am waiting for the light, since the light is mine, but you do need its light, because the bat doesn't feel the light with its eyes. Yeah, it doesn't get the sun rays, the rays of light, and feel the light. Whereas the rooster is happy, and it gets up and sings before the sun. The interpret is that since the bat has no eyes to see, what does it gain from the sunlight? On the contrary, one who has no eyes, to one who has no eyes, sunlight only makes it darker. Because if we have no light from the outside, then both the rooster and the bat are in the same situation. Equal. But if light does come, then the rooster sees the light and the bat doesn't see the light. And there's a difference. So why does it happen that both await the light? We must understand that allegory, meaning how the eyes are connected to looking in the light of the Creator, which the text names the day of the Lord. They give an allegory in that regard about a bat. That one who has no eyes remains in the dark. We must also understand what is the day of the Lord and what is the night of the Lord, and what is the difference between them. We discern the day of people by the sunrise, but with the day of the Lord in what do we discern it? What should change in us, within us, in people, so we will feel that this was for me a day, now it is a night for me, or this was a night for me, now it's a day for me. It's not a matter of these astronomical processes where the sun rises and or the moon rises and the stars. What are the day and night in the inner work, in our inner situations? The answer is as the appearance of the sun. In other words, when the sun shines on the ground, we call it day. When the sun does not shine, it is called darkness. It is the same with the Creator. A day is called revelation and darkness is called concealment of the face. This is called the day of the Lord and the night of the Lord. This means that the day of the Lord means that the guidance by which the Creator leads the world is clear, that it is in the form of good and doing good. For example, when one prays, his prayer is immediately answered, and he receives what he has prayed for, and one succeeds wherever he turns. This, he is what he calls the day of the Lord, because he has a good connection with the Creator, and whatever he asks, the Creator does from him to the Creator. Conversely, darkness, which is night, will mean concealment of the face of the Creator, meaning that the force that governs us is hidden. This brings one doubts in the guidance of good and doing good and foreign thoughts. In other words, the concealment of the guidance brings one all these foreign views and thoughts, and this is called night and darkness. The fact that instead of seeing agreeing with providence, I see that it is opposite. This is what I call darkness and night, meaning the connection with the Creator. Even if I don't see him, but his activities toward me, I call it good and day, and if I don't see the Creator's actions towards me, it gives me foreign thoughts and actions that I don't understand. And this is what I call night. Darkness and night. This is the definition of darkness. Now we can interpret what is written. Woe unto you who desire the day of the Lord. Why do you need the day of the Lord? It is darkness and not light. Why is it written this way about what we yearn for? Those who await the day of the Lord, it means that they are waiting to be imparted faith above reason. Those who are called roosters, that faith will be so strong, as if they see with their eyes with certainty, that they don't need to add anything else for themselves besides faith that this is so, that the Creator, that he is good and does good and everything is working properly, meaning that the Creator watches over the world in a manner of good and doing good. In other words, they do not want to see how the Creator leads the world as the good who does good, since seeing is contradictory to faith. In other words, faith is precisely where it is against reason, and when one does what is against one's reason, this is called faith above reason. In other words, the fact that we are not following what we see, but what we are receiving above what we have before us. This is called going with faith about reason. You know, sometimes there are such states between us two. Even though I do something bad, I want people to see that I'm good inside, that I want them to accept me as good, although my external actions seem to them as though I'm bad. From our children too, we want them to understand us, that even though I am mad at my kids for what they did, and I punish them, and I even yell at them, I want them to feel in this, to feel my relation in this as opposite. That despite my relation to them in this way, they will come to me and hug me and understand me correctly. That there are two lines here to providence, where on the one hand there is judgment, and even though it is right, it is against the will to receive of a person, and on the other hand there is love. But the love is concealed. It is revealed only on condition that there is an effort on the part of the receiver of the providence, to the extent that he's willing to accept the love which is hidden in the pressure and the blows and the demands from the upper one. And then, in this way, we begin to be in contact with the Creator. Such things happen in our world as well. Between us, I'm continuing to read. This means that they believe that the guidance of the Creator over the creatures is in a manner of good and doing good, while they do not see it with absolute certainty. They do not say to the Creator, we want to see the quality of good and doing good as seen within reason. Rather, they wanted to remain in them as faith above reason. I want to continue my relation to the Creator in this way, or as a child toward a father. So let the relation toward me be bad as I feel it, because it promotes me. It teaches me to constantly decipher the true relation of the Father or of their Creator as good. And by this I grow in understanding this behavior in two lines. But they ask of the Creator to give them such strength that this faith will be so strong that the Creator is good and doing good, so strong as if they see it within reason, that there will be no difference between faith and knowledge in the mind. This is what those who want to adhere to the Creator, refer to as the day of the Lord. In other words, if they feel it as knowledge, the light of the Creator called the upper abundance will go to the vessels of reception. If there's no difference between faith and knowledge, I see it as if I see everything, it's all open before me. Again, if they feel it as knowledge, then the light of the Creator called the upper abundance will go to the vessels of reception, called vessels of separation. They do not want this, since it will go to the will to receive, which is the opposite of holiness, which is against the will to receive for one's own sake. Instead, they want to adhere to the Creator, and this can be only through equivalence of form. Therefore, they have no problem in feeling the Creator's relation in the opposite way. It actually helps them to complement and to determine that according to their nature they see it as bad, and according to how they want to accept the Creator, it comes from His good relation toward them, because by this He wants to promote us and educate us and elevate us to His level, to teach us to be human beings, similar to the Creator. However, to achieve this, meaning in order for one to have a desire and craving to adhere to the Creator, since one is born with a nature of a will to receive only for one's own benefit, how is it possible to achieve something that is completely against nature? For this reason, one must make great efforts until he acquires a second nature, which is a desire to bestow. When one is imparted the desire to bestow, he is qualified to receive the upper abundance and not blemish. Since all the flaws come only through the will to receive for oneself, that is, even when doing something in order to bestow, deep inside, there is a thought that he will receive. something for this act of bestow that he is now performing. In other words, he wants to bestow, but in order to receive something a little bit. In a word, man is unable to do anything if he does not receive something in return for the act. It's our nature. We have to receive some compensation, some satisfaction, reaction we have to. In other words, he must enjoy, and any pleasure that one receives for one's own benefit, that pleasure must cause him separation from the life from the Creator. Because of the separation, this stops one from adhering to the Creator, since adhesion is measured by the equivalence of form to the extent that one gives to the other. It is thus impossible to have pure bestow without a mixture of reception from one's own powers. Oh well, let's ask, but why is it important not to see, within reason, that the Creator is leading the world as the good who does good? Why does this separate us from the Creator? If you see him, well, you can't see the Creator because there's no image. It's the force that operates in all of reality. As a result of this force, we feel in our world, meaning in our feeling, many forces. We can even build instruments to discover even more forces that operate around us. They are all phenomena that come from the power of the Creator. But the Creator is a cold force. What it does and the forces we discover are only mechanical forces. So it turns out that you want to attain what is the reason that these forces operate on us. You have to rise above them. This is called attainment of the Creator. The cause of these forces. All the forces come from him, emerge from him. But we perceive only the result of their influence on us. The reason we cannot discover, for now. Now the wisdom of Kabbalah reveals to us, meaning explains to us more correctly, how we can reveal the forces in the manner of intention from the Creator's perspective. How to understand the intention, the reason why he operates on us the way he does. That's the question. We don't have the intellect, the feeling, to study, to research what emerges from the Creator toward us. So the wisdom of Kabbalah teaches us, and this is why it's called the wisdom of reception Kabbalah. How to receive, to perceive, to understand, to feel what the Creator sends us, how he relates to us, what he gives us. So it's not important for us which forces we are receiving. What's important for us is with what intentions, what thoughts the Creator sends us these forces. In order to know these forces, to recognize, to begin to understand and study them, we need to rise above the good and bad that they do to us, because from the Creator everything emanates as good. Afterwards it divides into, well, from our perspective, into good and bad, and into all kinds of other phenomena, by which the Creator shakes us out of all those shake-ups that the Creator gives us on all kinds of levels and forms. We have to relate to him as the source, to accept in advance a priority, that it is good and doing good. And this is how I want to see, to study him. What he wants for the best. How can I know it? I can know it if I too relate to it as good. In other words, in that case I have to rise from the level of the forces that operate on me, and then I feel in them good and bad. I have to rise above them to the intentions of the Creator, which are all good for our benefit, to the extent that I can receive the Creator's relation, the good relation of the Creator as good, and the bad as good, equally as good. This is called getting closer to him, rising more and more and more above myself, toward the Creator, because from him everything emanates as good. Afterwards, it divides in its influences on me into good influences and bad influences, ostensibly bad influences, positive and negative. This is what I want to do. This ascent from feeling the forces to their intentions, which are all good, according to my equivalence with these intentions. This ascent is called an ascent from reason, from feeling the actions themselves to faith above reason, to the Creator sting upon us from the level of being toward mood. And this is how we approach him. We begin to understand, truthfully, our forces. No. Latin 7. Latin 7. Thank you, Rob. Usually, there is a certain descent despair at this time. How do we identify the force that the Creator is giving us? How can we be more above time with the ability to use the Creator's force in order to go through this time? I'll tell you, you don't detect the forces of the Creator. Who are you? Who are you, sir? You too are a force of the Creator. Sorry, I have nothing to say. You just need to take everything you have in you and begin to relate to all those things from aside. Well, from aside is also not you. It's not something that precedes you. In the way that the wisdom of Kabbalah teaches you, decipher everything you have thoughts, desires, how to what extent you thinking, correctly or incorrectly, or think if you're thinking at all, maybe you shouldn't think about it, etc. And by this you're beginning to scrutinize what the Creator is doing in you and how you relate to what He does. Because everything you have, your worst thoughts, your worst desires, never mind, they all come from the Creator. Now, how do you relate to it for now? Right now, tomorrow it might change. It depends on how much you advance in your corporeal education and spiritual education. So, start criticizing and monitoring the operations of the Creator. Check your list. To what extent you agree with Him, you disagree with Him, etc. In this you have a lot of work. This is our main work. For a person to reveal, to do this internal scrutiny of who he is, which certainly comes from the Creator, and what he wants to have, what he wants to be, and in the gap between the two, he should ask for corrections. That's it. It's not complicated. We just need to ask, even if you don't know what to do. And you can't read yourself, more or less clearly. Ask for that as well for anything. Thank you, Ralph. How can I shift from work to a game playing? How do we shift from working to playing? I don't think that besides the game we have anything. From the very beginning, it is written that the Creator plays with the whale. So what we need is only to know the rules of this game and use them. That's it. Hungarian Polish. Chalam. A question. Hello. Friends. What correction do we need to do in order to feel the good that does good in the group? Only connection between us in order to reach connection with the Creator, that's it. All right. And this text of it is writing or sage said about the verse, woe to you who desire the day of the Lord. It's strange because it seems rather that is a good news, since the day of the Lord indicate the quality of Biller. So why? They say what to you? They want to say that people who long to reveal the Creator expect the day of the Creator, the revelation of the Creator. In order to reveal the Creator, it's possible only to the extent that I build within me, assemble within me qualities similar to the Creator. Then from these qualities similar to the Creator, I can understand Him and feel Him. I have to build within me a model where I, if formed to the Creator. This is why it's called come and see. That's why I build it within me a tense where I, in these tense field called my soul, I can build Him, I can feel Him, can envision Him, so that this image that I establish in me, accordingly I begin to get into dialogue with Him. There's something in me that I can depict as the Creator. He's not the true Creator, that we can't actually know who He is, what He is, and attain Him. But, at least, to the extent of what we build within our soul, gives us an opportunity to cling to Him, and solve all the problems with Him, and see where we need to advance until we come to adhesion with Him in all qualities, desires, thoughts, in complete accord. That's how we do it. Okay. Women Internet. Is faith above reason the reason of the Creator? I can't hear what you're mumbling there. Is faith above reason the reason of the Creator? Yes. Question from Moscow 20. How can the Creator have an intention if He has the will to bestow? What is the intention? The intention of the Creator to benefit the created beings. Is the intention of the Creator constant? Yes. There are no changes in the Creator. From the beginning to the end of creation, there's no change, and there are no actions. In fact, there's only one action that He doesn't move from, and that is bestowing to the created beings in the optimal way. Question from Australia, and the article says that they ask the Creator to give them the force that the faith will be so strong as if they see it within reason, that there won't be a gap between the faith and knowing in their mind what is that state, that there's no difference between them. If I would identify the creation, the actions of the Creator in my will to receive in, that would be like how I now want to identify them, but in my will to bestow, and then faith becomes like reason, and then I don't need reason. I want to be in faith. I want to not receive anything, but the understanding that the Creator is the bestow who's good, that does good, that the rooster and the bat work in the darkness. Is it right that the difference between them is that the rooster is in contact with the Creator and working in faith above reason, and the bat is working in the ego? I can't say about the rooster and the bat. I'm not a vet, and I don't know how they think. I only know one thing, that if we don't see the intentions of the Creator and His actions are not seen as good and beautiful to us, yet we do wish to see them as good and beautiful, even though it is against our nature, our will to receive. So by this we are bonded with the purpose of creation and not the actions. It's like a child who, let's say his father is hitting him, and he still realizes that otherwise his father can't educate him because his evil inclination is so evil that can't be influenced any other way. And then the child agrees with his father even though the body suffers, but the soul agrees, and in it he actually attains his father. This is what Rash used to say, pointing at himself, saying, "Let it suffer." He would say that in some incidents in life, that's something we shouldn't forget, and we, each time, consciously or unconsciously, want to move towards bodily indulgence. We always look for bodily indulgence. There's a lot more. Let me know when. No, not many more. One more. What kind of suffering does a capitalist have? Does he never suffer? A capitalist suffers just like all people suffer. And in addition to that, he suffers from not being able to only suffer spiritually. His will to receive brings him corporeal suffering each time as well, and he has to decipher it, raise it to a spiritual level. Well, if he has students, then he has the sorrow of growing pains. Of course, that's obvious, and that's it. But most importantly for a Kabbalist is that he suffers for wanting to push all people of the world to correction, and he's not feeling that it works out, that he's successful in that. The Creator expects it, then he's not unsuccessful. It's really so. It's a very great sorrow. You see how the world keeps going round every day what is happening, and the Kabbalist is involved in all the news. He hears a little bit of what's going on. He sees all the crises and problems ahead of humanity and knows how it can all be somewhat stopped, mitigated. Yet it doesn't depend on him. It depends on the extent to which the ordinary people will change their attitude to the world. So for a Kabbalist it's much worse. He sees, let's say, that some volcanic eruption is coming and covering a city, or that other blows of nature are coming in different ways and states, and he can't do anything about it. Nothing. Imagine that you see, God forbid, that something is going to happen soon to your kid, and you can't do anything about it, unless you will awaken the other people to think about nothing, that nothing will happen to your kid. This way, you can save the situation. So a Kabbalist is in such states that are much worse than for an ordinary person. Okay, let's go back to the article. We have another part of it. Okay, good. Continuing. Therefore, for one to have the powers of bestow, we need a second nature. So, one will have the strength to achieve equivalence of form. In other words, the Creator is the giver and does not receive anything, for he lacks nothing. So we should be in such state, meaning that what he gives is not because of a lack, that if he has no one to gift he feels it as a lack. Rather, we must perceive it is like a game. Why is it like a game? That is when he doesn't want to give. It is something he needs instead. Is it's like a game. It's all for us to it's all in order to advance thus. As our sages said regarding the queen, she asked, what does the Creator do after he created the world? The answer was he sits and plays with a whale, as it's written, this whale meaning in connection and adhesion, meaning that the purpose is the Creator's connection with the created beings, and it's a matter of a game, not a matter of desire and need, meaning the Creator himself has no desire or need for creation, but in order to reveal himself to the created beings, the difference between a game and a desire is that everything that comes in the desire is a necessity, and if one does not obtain one's desire, he is deficient. But with games, even if one does not obtain the thing, it is not considered a lack. As they say, it is not so bad that I did not get what I planned, because it's not so important. This is because the desire he had for it was only a game and not serious. It follows that the whole purpose is for one's work to be entirely in bestow, and he will not have any desire or craving to receive pleasure for his work. This is a high degree, as it is what happens in the Creator, and this is called the day of the Lord. The day of the Lord is called wholeness, and meaning complete bestow on behalf of the created being towards everything. This is called the day of the Lord. Then accordingly he begins to see all of reality as filled with light of bestow from the Creator. So according to the bestow of the lower one, he attains bestow of the upper one, and when one acquires the second nature, the desire to bestow that the Creator gives him after the first nature, the will to receive. Now he received the desire to bestow, and then one is qualified to serve the Creator in completeness. This is called the day of the Lord, that the darkness shines his light. There's only one day. There's no night. This is the conclusion of all the corrections. Thus one who has not been rewarded with the second nature to be able to serve the Creator in the manner of bestow and wait to be rewarded with this, meaning with bestow, meaning he has already exerted and did what he could to obtain that force. He is considered to be awaiting the day of the Lord. That is to have equivalence of form with the Creator. When the day of the Lord comes, he is elated. He's happy that he has emerged from the control of the will to receive for himself, which separated him from the Creator. Now he clings to the Creator and considers it as having risen to the top. However, one whose work is only self-reception, as long as he thinks he will have some reward from his work, he's happy. When he sees that the will to receive will not receive any reward for his work, he becomes sad and idle. Sometimes it comes to doubt the beginning. What is that state of doubting the beginning? That it's a shame I studied so many years and did so many things and didn't succeed in other things in life. Perhaps this is called doubting the beginning. There are such states. Thus, moreover, the day of the Lord is attaining the power to bestow. If one were to be told this will be your profit from engaging in tovut, he would say, I consider it darkness and not light, since this knowledge brings one to darkness. Meaning the people who attain the day of the Lord, they attain the true eternity and wholeness in creation, and they keep it for eternity, because our soul is eternal. And those who don't, then there will be corrections. Everything has to be corrected. So, Another life cycle, another something else. We will learn that. But ultimately, we all come to the final state of good that does good to the two, the bad ones and the good ones even, those who don't want. We will now continue to a lesson about the preface to the Wisdom of Kabbalah. We've reached item 32. We will watch a lesson by Rav from June 5, 2006. We can find it in the writings of N. Hebrew on page 169. Let's connect to the lesson, the preface to the Wisdom of Kabbalah. Item 32. Based on what do you determine that you want the next degree if you don't know it? Based on what do we decide about the next degree if we don't know it? All in all, we need to understand that in the entire process that we study, from above downwards, from below upwards, and in general everything, if we ask about something we have to go back to and because there was decided, and from there everything is done. The state that was in soft is called the first state. The state of the expansion, the cascading, and returning to in soft. This is called the second state, and returning to ins following this entire process is called the third state. From the side of nature, when the light builds the vessel and bestows the vessel, influences it, and leads the vessel through the entire process and brings it to the end goal. The light has to provide the vessel with all the required elements, all the data, and there is nothing that it doesn't provide. But, rather, what remains for the vessel after the light provides the vessel with all the data, what remains in the vessel is some sort of element that with respect to the vessel, it's called rejoice or a decision, and we see that this decision originates in the light that created the vessel, through the four phases of direct light, as the will to receive also gave already, in phase 2 after it created the will to receive, in its raw form already placed inside. This raw form immediately the feeling of himself, the feeling of the giver that. Friends, we are studying selected excerpts on the topic winning the war, selected excerpts for strengthening the worldly and the well-being of the world. We will continue from item 59. You can find the materials in the study materials tab in the Arbut system, and the next subheading is peace among friends. I'll just say that if you want to ask questions from the hall, raise your hands and I will raise the hand for Rob Lemon to see us. He'll give us permission to ask, and then we can ask from the hall as well. So again, winning the war selected excerpts for strengthening the world and the well-being of the world. Headline Peace among friends. Item 59. Ash. Those people agreed to unite into a single group that engages in love of friends is that each of them feels that they have one desire that can unite all their views so as to receive the strength of love of others. There's a famous maxim by our sages: as their faces differ, their views differ. As those who agreed among them to unite into a group understood that there isn't such a great distance between them, in the sense that they recognize the necessity to work in love of others. Therefore, each of them will be able to make concessions in favor of the others, and they can unite around that. Yes, this is what Rabash writes in his article, will make for yourself a RA and buy yourself a friend too. If there are no questions, we can continue. We can also read again. I have no connection with those who hear us. Shalom. There's a question here from Gilad. Yes. Hello Rar. He says there everyone has something common here. They're all needy of one force of love of others. Yes. What is the need for that force? What does it mean that they all know that they need the same thing? The thing is that the will to receive of each and every person isolates him from the others. It gives his body and his mind all the data that concern his individual state, and we are engaging in studying the spiritual part in a person, where, in spirituality, as we learned already, we exist as one man in one heart, and there is nothing between us that can divide and separate one from the other. as Rabash wrote and many other Kabbalists wrote about the connection between the students, that this is the condition to attain actually, or in the sense what we study. So, even though by nature we were created as unique individuals, where each one does not feel the other, through this force that works on us from a higher spiritual world, we connect a little bit, and we begin to see ourselves in the second, and the second in the third, and so on and so forth, until the point where, as the wisdom of Kabbalah says, we will reach a state where the whole world, the whole of humanity, will be felt in us as though we are with them in one heart, in one body, and this will be the end of the correct development of our world. The question how to reach a state where we're all clear that we're missing the exact same thing, like he says here, that we need the force of love of others, need that force of love of others, in order to arnally, that each and everyone has his own ego, and we have to rise above it and connect. A person sees both on himself and on his friends that they all need the same thing. It's not immediately, but later on one sees it. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Perhaps you just discussed it. Bash writes, everyone will be able to, that when we understand the necessity to work in love of others, everyone will be able to make concessions for the others, and by that they can unite. So a friend is asking, what does it mean to make concessions? This means that the egoistic demands that rise from our heart to our mind, they are felt in us as important things, and we want to satisfy these questions, these spaces that we feel in our mind. The fact that they are not full, we feel it as unpleasant, is a lack of, how shall I put it, a lack of existence. Let's call it a lack of existence in our world. And so those who begin to study the wisdom of Kabbalah, they also begin to feel questions that surface in them from himself. We don't know from where later on we will find out, and when we want to find answers to these questions that awaken in us, these answers also come from the spiritual world, from a state where we are connected between us. This is why we have an obligation to unite, because otherwise we will not know what is the spiritual force that is organized around our world. And this is how we should continue. Dear, how will the Creator become the only goal for the group that has came together? That has come together. How to make the Creator the only goal? This is through the study. Of course, the Creator is one for everyone. Through the study, we begin to detect His existence in every question we have, in everything we feel, we study, we receive, etc. World. Is there a difference between the annulment and the concession? Well, of course there is. There are many things to it. Let's put it this way. If a person annuls his ego, he doesn't want to use it with respect to his friend, then instead of that ego that he had, he now turned it into a force of bestow. And so there's a big difference. Thank you, Daph. In the first part of what we read, it said that their faces differ, and then it tries that they work on love of others. This love of others towards each friend, it's also not similar to the way the friend loves the others. Yes, it is different. Yes, the thing is that our attitude to others depends on whom. These are also different relations. They relate to one this way, to the other that way, to the third one differently. And I need to be connected with them and together with them to adhere to one common desire. This desire that we adhere to, that too has as a common feeling. In the beginning it is personal desire, but later on gradually it connects to the other desires. It becomes more general until it makes all the desires become one desire. 1. Good morning, Rob. Good morning, friends. Those who agreed to unite to a single group that engages in love of friends is that each of them feels that they have one desire that can unite all their views so as to receive the strength of love of others. What allows in a single point to move from disagreement to a point of agreement, there is a big difference. If there is no such agreement to be in one desire, then it is difficult for them to detect the Creator as one. So what needs to be done, or what needs to happen? We need to operate, and the most important is the prayer. The most important is the prayer. We have to connect between us, and each one should think about the others until all of our desires unite into a great vessel that is capable of feeling of including within it all the people who exist in the world, that they all actually want the same thing, to discover the Creator, as much as the Creator can be present in them or they can be in Him. Raf, is it possible for us, or it is possible for us to leave? Does the Creator ever leave us? No, the Creator doesn't leave us. But rather, it all depends on our sensitivity towards Him. Therefore, you won't find anywhere a method of connection between the students and the Creator can be attained only in the connection between us. Turkey 1. I'm sorry. No, women. Turkey 8. How do we transform to really being one common desire when we still haven't heard the unique view or opinion of each of us? How to become one common desire that nullifies the ego between us? We gather together with our unified single view that we can all become incorporated in one desire, as towards the Creator. This is what he explains. Women, thank you. How can the action of concession support or help the action of connection between us? How does that happen? Because to annulment I nullify my will to receive, that I don't want to use it with respect to connection with the Creator, and then, instead of that same will to receive, I feel the Creator the giver, and so, when I fill all of my vessels, my personal desires to receive and receive, then they all become fulfilled by the upper light and connect, and I thus go and attain the Creator. In the article he writes that we differ in our faces, we differ in our views. My question is how in the 10 we find a central point where we can unite above the different views, the different faces, the different characters, the different calculations. How do we find that central point and connect there? We do all sorts of action, studying questions and answers, whatever possible, in the hope, in the intention that we'll connect together, and in such a way we'll begin to feel a different reality. A different reality means that the individual world that each and everyone has will connect together with the spiritual sensation of the world of the others. And this way we come to as one man in one heart. Women mock, beloved, the love of others. It is such a great force that by it you can overcome everything. The conditions for the development of this force, it's a mutuality. What is mutual love between the friends? Yes, mutual love between the friends has room if they understand each other, know each other, if they're connected with their yearning one towards the other, and then the connection, the adhesion between them succeeds and they reach attainment. There is a big difference between when they can feel each one their personal space in the spiritual world versus when they connect and feel their common space in the spiritual world. And this is a huge difference, indescribable. It means that each of them builds a complete world in himself, and when they connect in such a way, it follows that many in the 10 in the group connect their desires together to such an extent that they feel the entire group as a single. Question: how can I waiting for translation when I don't feel pleasure in the connection from a friend? Problem: you have to pray to the Creator that you wish to be connected with the friends, because through that in such a way you reveal the Creator to yourself and you get closer to the goal of life, the goal of creation. Rather, they say they agreed to unite and understand. How can we increase that force to unite around us practically? How can they increase that force to unite? Is not up to us. The Creator that shines in us, He through His light unites us, and makes us equal to each other and also takes us through other ascents and changes that happen within us. Latin 1. Women Latin 1. Hello dear Rob. When we become incorporated with the friends and we are null before the method and before the world clee, are these actions called make for yourself a RAF? Yes. If I wish to see in front of me the entire world group or say a part of the world group, that would mean that I shape the creator, that I depict him being in front of me, and that's how we advance and by yourself a friend is already an even closer connection, where all those that I used to relate to them as people who are with me on a spiritual ascent, they truly become like me, and our vessels, our desires begin to merge, to unite, and the creator becomes one for all. Latin 26. Thank you very much, Rob. Dear Rob, how can every friend be more pleasant towards the other friends? In order to enable us to do work in love of others, we're feeling that we're only in the beginning, that there are many friends, and each one occupies a certain level of connection, some level of aid and knowledge, but later on, it's not so important to us, because we feel everyone longing to be as one, and then the difference between all the friends disappears. 12. Hello Robin Worldly. How do we truly come to pray for the 10 attainment and not our own? We can't, because altogether the force that we have through the connection between us, through integration, incorporation between us, that force becomes a new vessel for a new state. And as we feel, specifically through that vessel, specifically in it, we feel a new reality, the spiritual reality. Thank you, Ralph. Mark 11. Please tell me, when we are now before the Creator, or not before the Creator, before the friends, we can receive from them. Right? What can we receive from them in that state? You connect to them to form a common vessel. The friend gives me, I give him, to the extent that we can connect. Women Turkey 7. Women Turkey 7. We have two questions. Probably have two questions. In the excerpt it speaks about concessions. That a person has to make concessions. And concessions create resistance. So, the friend is asking how can we broaden our point of view, our perspective in order to rise above this resistance. We have to better consider the friends or the friend or the friends with which we want to unite. And to that extent we begin to also sense the Creator who is one for all of us. And in such a way we start connecting with Him actually. And that's how we advance through, each time connecting stronger, better, higher with the Creator. And through that we'll feel how we unite with the friends and how we can make corrections. This whole process, it is a process of the correction of the souls that become incorporated in the system of adamation, our whole internality. We have another question. We always ask how to connect, how to bestow to the friends. When we turn to a friend and ask for help, sometimes she says that she can't do it, and then there is a gap between speaking and doing. How do we overcome this gap? How can we nevertheless feel that we are together? Together is already a very difficult condition. We need to connect. That's true. But when we connect, we need to check, what does this connection give us? Then we'll learn how, just in order to ascend even closer to the Creator, I'm willing not to take into account all kinds of my personal conditions, the personal conditions of a friend and another friend that way in my tent. I take those conditions just as if they came from the Creator, and by that becomes a circle that we incorporate from one another, and this way we are corrected. That's why connection and conceding each one on their own desire towards the others, it's something very, very important. It's already a spiritual action, and by that we build a spiritual vessel. Okay, 3. We can't hear you. Okay, let's let it go. Masca 1. Dear beloved rough world, if we come to the absolute point of connection, then in place of the friends, I reveal the Creator. You discover the friends, and inside them, you discover the next degree, the connection with the Creator. That's the complete prayer that we need to unite with. Yes. Thank you. You said the difference between the friends is disappearing. Is that the common denominator? Yes, of course. Argentina woman. Friends. The question: what depth of scrutiny do we need in order to reach the feeling that the desire of the friend is like mine? If I want to connect to the friend, we call him and come closer to him. We hug, obviously not physically, in our intentions. So me and the friend connect, and together we can ascend to a higher degree. That degree includes my vessel and his vessel. Degree starts feeling as both of us, both of us, meaning I feel what he feels and he feels what I feel. This way we incorporate. By this we build, by connecting between. We build our even bigger degree, common degree between the two, that we already attain the Creator in a new way. Because on that third degree, as a vessel and my vessel become one, and his private attainment and my private attainment also become as one, then we start, as if to give birth to something new. Between us, is everything concluded in feeling the? Does everything conclude in the feeling of the Creator? No. It's a new element in each one of us that we receive, and we discover more ability to send in more and more than we and the friend that's connecting. We start understanding where we are, who we're dealing with, and so on. Women 43. Good morning, dear teacher. If everything is from above, then what are we conceding? And who is the one that's conceding? I then understand your question. Whichever way I don't turn it around, I still don't understand it. Maybe I'll ask it differently. I'll try. If everything is controlled from above, and a person doesn't have the forces of his own, could you say that the concession is not an action, but a recognition that, no, you need to concede, not because you don't have a form of your own yet, and you will at some point. Every ascent, throughout the whole ladder from our point to the most highest degree, the ascent is felt in a way that we ego, and use it only to bestow with, good morning, dear morning. How can we reveal the desire of a friend? How to discover the desire? How to know what the desire of the friend is? Aim yourself, or make yourself like a mother who wants to feel her child. What does he want? Then she tries to find what he wants, and to bring it to him. Can we truly connect in other way than in our desire, in our common desire? Later on we'll see that. For now, let's do what's written. You with your desire want to incorporate in his desire, and he wants the same towards you. So they are both in equivalence of form. You, in yourself, he in himself, and accept. For that each one wants to connect to the other, and in this way you can attain the common key of 3. Key of 3. Hello dear RV. The common key and the common deficiency, are they the same? How, in what manner is it connected? Where we make concessions in the 10-1 towards the other, and for that to have a common division. What's the connection? You want to feel what the other feels, and he in relation to you too. And this way you get a mutual vessel. Each one of you tries to connect in the other's desires. The first one and the second and the first. Yeah, meaning with these concessions, we need to try and feel specifically the desire of our friend to bestow or something else. There is no desire to be still. Thank you. Translate please. Any translation that. We have to do it in the 10 hour action or thoughts. It's not important. Main thing is that we'll know exactly that those thoughts take place in us, and we want to keep them. A woman's bar. Women's bot. Good evening, Rev. The distrust there is in the 10, does it stem from separation from the friends or from the Creator? Where is that feeling? of mistrust in the spiritual system. Where's that come from? We need to think. I think we just started. Reaching the connecting of the vessels. That's more how each one enals himself towards the other and connects between one another. So we'll talk about it. What happens? They're in the vessels. Women's Bane 1. Thank you, dear. How can I help a friend rise to love others when she's not capable? Or is it something that I need to correct within me as it's my own flaw? You need to understand her and your deficiencies. But not that you need to correct your desire in this, but you want to correct the gap between your desire and her desire, that they will both be as one. A few more lessons and we'll understand. We'll start feeling and understanding what's happening to us. Good morning, Raf. Good morning. Friends, are the desires that we receive ones that are coming up in us because they need correction? Yes. And is this how the dispute comes? And that's from the dispute that we start working? Yes. Thank you. Hello, Raf and friends. The question: when two friends or more manage to connect and clothe in one another, in their connection, can they draw the rest of the friends to the centre of that connection? Yes. We need to think what impression we're making on our friends, that it'll be a positive impression and correct. We might not know exactly how correct from that same state, but the fact that it's positive, that it will bestow to them in a positive way or affect them in a positive way for advancement, that we must be concerned about. We have a few questions here in the hall. Yes, please. Thank you very much, Raf. We are constantly yearning to receive this force of love, and the force of love brings us the reality of the Creator. He says that for that we have to engage in love. What is the deal to engage with love? We constantly want to check, do I have love towards all the other friends? And if not, so I need to be concerned about it, pray about it, ask for it, and until I feel it. I heard that Rav said that each time we actually need to attain the Creator in a new way. What does that mean as far as we're concerned, to attain the Creator each time in a new way? I don't know. Every time you are in contact with the Creator, and through him to the friend, or through the friend to the Creator. So all these conditions for connection, all these conditions in connection give you new styles and the connection between you and the friend. Only in this way you advance. Thank you. Let's say I'll ask my friends if they want to adhere to the Creator, and each one will say yes. So could I say that there's only already one desire? It could be that they don't know what they're answering about. So how to reach one desire? That's why we didn't finish everything in one lesson. We are entering a topic, meaning the connection between us, and beginning to dig deeper and deeper until we begin to see each and everyone, every man and every woman in our group, our world group. So everyone understand what it is to be in connection, in incorporation, and how to see I need to incorporate in the friends' coarseness, and in this way I can ascend with them together, meaning to take their coarseness on myself, or should I focus on the connection and that will project to my environment? No, I don't know what connection is. Friend is something much clearer. Do you understand? It's to them that I have to come to. What does it mean to incorporate with the friends? What is it to connect with them? What does it mean to feel the Creator in the connection with them? It's all things I have to scrutinize. I need to feel. So, let's hope that we will soon get there. When we feel a friend, is that already the feeling of the friend, or is it me how I feel the friend? It's always the in you, you're feeling. You don't feel her and how she is. I feel her through your vessels. Can I feel the friend's desire as my own? No, there are such degrees in our work onwards. But now for the time being, no. She has another question. If I feel everything from my own, when will I bestow? When will I come to the bestowal stage? Specifically in this way you feel more and more closeness to bestow. And the next stage is you'll begin to bestow. Yes. Okay. Moscow 6. Do we? Yes, need to aim ourselves in advance. The connection with the Creator. Again, clear. Do we need in advance to connect for the sake of the Creator? Do we need what? To the Creator. We need to connect for the sake of the Creator to have a vessel, and in this vessel we will discover Him. Because this is the true purpose we have, to the extent in which we can connect, despite our ego, and in order to reveal Him. That is our work. Their love of their friends and the 10 that advance quietly on the path, and there's one that constantly wants to ask questions how to combine those two different qualities and reach connection. There are many means. First of all, no one can ask and ask and ask. You asked, that's it. Now let someone else ask. Now someone else, meaning we need to divide during the lesson the ability to ask, the ability to do something, the ability to do something, so it will be more or less equal. This all depends on those who manage the lesson. There are no concessions in the 10. How can we still conduct ourselves, because how to keep connecting? We need to continue in the connection, for sure, every day anew, to connect to all the friends, to make sure that each and every one of them wants connection. That who wants connection, I'm calling with my speech, and together with her, I try to express myself. My question, that's the practice. No more than that. If I feel that there is no concession in the tent, no annulment, how can I keep not to work with all these calculations? What can help me? What action can help me not to start calculating and to just keep connecting? If there's no concession, annul yourself and feel that you're in the hands of the friends, and you'll immediately feel during that lesson or the next that you have a new connection from that, a more stronger connection in the group. Can you give us a practical exercise on how to connect in the 10? And that will take this exercise all the 10s in the world, and through that, we'll try to discover the Creator and the connection between us. That's in every question that our friends want to ask, that are now before us on the screens. We can take each and every question and turn it into a world general question, upon which everyone thinks about. Seemingly, that's whatever it thinks, and everyone wants to connect, and it's about that we ask, and that's what we get. Okay, all right. We don't have any more questions. We have some down here. Please, no. What is a pure vessel? Pure vessel. The question is in what state we're talking about. A pure vessel is one that doesn't have desires to receive, that just wants to bestow, that works directly towards the other vessels. That's called pure. Yeah, I really want to be in that pure vessel to only ask for the friends, but throughout the day. So I'm in actions for my own benefit. So what should my prayer be exactly? To ask the Creator to correct my desire in order to receive in a pure way for the friends, or give me the forces to restrict my desire in order to ask. Those are exercises. You could do it this way and you could do it that way. Yes, the main thing is continue. We have another question, please. I have love towards other friends, and if not, I have to make sure that I will find it. Is that a clear way to check it? Can a person always turn to himself and see what he feels towards the friends, and then towards that ask and to pray? Or maybe it's an illusion that the desire is showing him something specific. No, I can't say. But nevertheless, it's good to do these exercises. Question of friend. Sorry. Is the opening of a friend's heart, a condition for feeling their desire. That's the condition. The main thing for us is to feel the other first, and then make your will his will, and he will make his desire as yours. And then it turns out that you're connecting by this to one another. Spain, one woman. How can the 10 uplift above all the opinions and forms, until we reach one desire and truly reach love of others. We need to continue. Let's hope that from today onwards, God willing, we are continuing day after day, morning after morning with you, together. And you will be able to see how every morning you're taking another step forward and another step forward. And this is how we will feel. What else do we have? Neon, summary, and the 10 as well. And then we're going to read said. We'll meet you tomorrow. Friends, let's summarize the main things we heard in the lesson. Was a very powerful lesson, and really one that opens your heart. There are many things to mention and talk about, but just to start, I'll start with all that. Many of the things I heard are that the work is specifically in the 10 in the connection between us, specifically from incorporating with one another, helping and assisting in the location of these desires. All those discernments are only in the connection between us, and specifically from that point we can move forward. The more we connect between us, we can start the connection with the Creator.